You never know where your stuff was going to take you. But random thoughts can also turn into a big business like t-shirts, cups, hats. I'm going to show you how to make money with your book in the last 2 days of the class. I go into that whole like how to monetize your book. Okay.
Okay,
One of my
I'm very
books,
excited.
this right here book, is called the Impress Program, Inmate Pre-Release Employability Success System. I taught from this to the uh, Williamsburg Department of Corrections, and they still use it now today for anyone that's about to be a returning citizen within their last 3 months of being in jail. And so, but I got paid like a lot of money to just come speak about it. So, and the book didn't cost, but like I don't know, maybe $2 to make, and they
Okay,
they paid me thousands of dollars to say some stuff.
nice.
All right, so all right, and
And
Lee.
just another
Oh,
note, I'm sorry,
yes.
just one more note. I'm
Mhm.
very intimidated by all the AI stuff.
No problem. I make AI easy,
Okay, good.
just like I make photography made easy, writing your story course writing made easy. I make AI easy. You will not be intimidated. Once you have the stuff, you'll be like, oh man, what? And you might be like this last person that was in this other class who is just like going nuts. She is writing all kind of books and she is just off the chain. I was like, she said, Mr. Ross, you created a monster. I said, no, I just gave you a vehicle to start doing the things that you always wanted to do in your life, and now you're able to do it very cool and very collectively. So it was really kind of cool. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we got you. All right. Thank you, Cindy. And Lee.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And
But you play
Dwayne,
one on TV. Okay, I got it.
Dwayne, I haven't read the description of the course. I just signed up based on Tell Your Story.
The title.
And I'm was a little intimidated when I got Canva and KDP and not sure, where that's going.
I will show you.
Um, but what I'm working on is I've been writing for the last month or so, just doing kind of a data dump of my life.
hmm
I think there's some very good stories embedded in there, but I'm just trying to get the facts down before I can get very creative. I have
hmm
one story that I would like that to me calls for a screenplay.
hmm
And then I have a project that may lend itself to this course, which is I have digitized all of the Christmas letters that my family created over 25 years,
Oh, wow.
have the photos that go with each of those years, and I'd like to make a book for my family for the holidays.
That's awesome. Well, that's a beautiful memoir. It'll be a picture memoir and probably be a coffee book because you have it digitized a certain way. And there's a company in New York that I'll introduce you to that will probably help you with the digitized part. But there's, a lot of new things happening in the space of books now with collaborative tools, and Canva is one of them. So I'm going to show you how to use Canva to actually put it together and actually send it off to get it printed out and get you a draft. So we'll be talking about all of that as we go forward. So what am I? Well, I've been doing this stuff for a while. I just love hearing your projects and helping you realize your project. That's how I get really paid. It's not about the money anymore for me. It's about helping people get what's in their head or their heart out into their hands so that they can do something with it. Whether it's a story that they just make for themselves and put on a shelf or something that they give to their family for a gift. It's all of that. So, but everybody here, you have touched on something that's in the coursework. So you will get the information that will help you realize that. And all I say that you do is just follow through on the activities and don't let it just sit after the class is over. Because I know I've run into students at the store and I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And they're like, oh, yeah, and then they tell me the sad story. And then I have other people like Amanda Danello, who's on her fourth book, right? So it all just depends, right? I hope to have at least one or two of my students that's already out there to have a book that's done some stuff to come back and share. So I always try to get somebody to come back and share. Amanda's one of them, but there's other people out there too. Recently, Jacqueline, I would see if she could come back because she is on fire with her book and some other stuff. So, and she could tell you about the editing process and how she had to go through that because there are some places where it's going to cost you money, but I'm going to show you how to get most of everything done at low cost to no cost. And then you go from there. If you have a budget, then cool, go for your budget. But doing a memoir, if you do the research, you'll find out it starts at like $8,000 to $10,000. Most companies are going to charge you 10,000 or more. Other companies will nickel and dime you. They'll tell you, oh, no, you can get started for only $4.99. And then you wind up paying for this and paying for that and paying for this and paying. By the time you finish, you're going to spend $5,000. I don't do none of that. I show you how to get done for the least amount out of your pocket so that you can get that first, what's called a minimal viable product, right? MVP. You get it in your hand, then you can make some decisions about what you do. And then there are some stories that are really awesome. Like one of them, a person was like trying to find a person, trying to find somebody, to publish their story. They couldn't get it done. You probably, have heard these stories, right? Jack Canfield was one of them. Jack Canfield and Les Hewitt wrote The Power of, um, what's it called? The Power of Goals, right? Where he also wrote the Chicken Soup series, right, with Mark Victor Hansen, and they couldn't find a person for that. It was a small little company down in Florida that said, okay, cool. They hadn't published that many books, but they took a chance, and he took a chance on them, and they became millionaires as a result because it's the number one book, but after the Bible being sold, right? The Bible the most, and then here's Jack Canfield right behind it. It's crazy in the top 10, right? So that's kind of like where we're going to go. And I like to start off with that thought because we never know where our book is going to land. It's like somebody get it on a plane, and next thing you know, it is a playwright, a screenplay. I've had two screenwriters here. One particular person, she decided to turn it into a stage play on Harriet Tubman. I actually worked with her. My cousin lived in Upper New York and was friends with the daughter, the great great granddaughter of the aunt of Harriet Tubman. So I actually introduced her to the whole family and took her up to New York and let her meet the whole group. And it was pretty fantastic. She's still alive. She's 96, I think, and very active in the community and doing some really cool stuff. So, there's that as well. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Any questions, any comments, anything you want to know about me or this class before we get started?
Dwayne, would you provide just an overview of the class? I'm sorry if I missed that or if I didn't read it.
Yeah, well, I don't have like this. These classes don't require like a synopsis. I mean, that's not the word I'm looking for. We don't have
Syllabus?
syllabus. Yes, syllabus. All right, but I can give you a synopsis. Okay, so I go over how to take your story, get it out of your head onto some paper, and then get it, produced through KDP. I exclusively started using KDP because it's the best, it's the easiest, and most people understand it. There are some other publishing companies out there like Lulu.com and BookBaby and some other ones, but I show you how to use KDP because it's easy. That's called Kindle Direct Publishing. And what we're doing is direct publishing, where you will learn how to set it all up inside their system, get your ISBN number and all the other things that are required for you as a writer. And then the one things that's not required, I'll tell you, and then get it up into a process that you can have it where somebody can buy it. All right, whether it's just one book or 1,000 books. But I'll put something together and send it to you, Lee, if you need it. But you'll see as I go how that actually is. Okay. And I do not give out my all my presentation, but I will give you pointers and I will send you emails that will have information in it. So you will still get what you need. Okay. And then you can contact me. I'm gonna give you my phone number. So if you write that down, and if you're stuck somewhere and you're like trying to get some help and you can't find somebody, you can give me a call directly. Just remember, I get a lot of phone calls, so I need to know who you are. So, put a text to me and say, "Hey, this is me, Dwayne. I'm from your class," or something like that, and that way I know it's you. But go ahead, Lee. You had another question?
Yeah, if you're using chat or KDP, what happens? How do you get your material copyrighted?
I'll
And
show you. I'm gonna share all of that. We're gonna
okay, okay,
layer. This is a layer by layer class. I take you from nothing. You're gonna do an exercise to write stories, and that's how you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn what to do by what I give you to do in class. Okay? And I'll share with you copyright information and all that other stuff as we go. Okay? Cool. Any other questions? But that's a great question. So don't hold back questions, everybody. There's no question that shouldn't be answered. I'll answer every question. If I don't know, I'll definitely find the answer. Anything else? All right, cool. Then we are rocking and we're rolling. Okay, so let me get this thing out the way. Get out the way, get out the way, yo. Okay, there we go. Hide that. And all right, so what you see here in front of you, actually, I'm teaching you from my experience, not from just a book or something I learned. I learned by doing. Back in 2004. Wow, saying that sounds interesting. But 2004, I published my first book because I couldn't find a publisher. And I read about Jack Canfield not being able to find a publisher. And I sent a notification to the company that he was with. But now by that time, they're doing all this big stuff. And I got a rejection. And when I did, it kind of pissed me off. So I said, well, where else can I go? And at the time, it was Lulu.com was the new dog in the fight. And so I went to Lulu.com and I went through some processes with them. They had these tutorials and they taught you step by step how you can publish your book. So I published No More Crumbs from the Table because what was happening was I was doing a lot of workshops helping what's called disadvantaged communities. And I was a case manager at the time in California. And I was writing a lot of programs, but I wasn't getting any kind of money for it. So I decided to go to this conference. And when I did, I met one of the people who also published a book, self-published. And I said, well, I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. So I went through the process. And this one little book right here got me a speaking engagement in Bakersfield, California for almost $3,000, like 2,900 and something dollars. And it was awesome. And it only cost 995, 999, the book. And so they read the book, they read my bio, they knew that I had worked in a certain environment, which was returning people who had been on welfare for generations. I was helping them get off of welfare and get jobs or start businesses. I was helping youth who were incarcerated get out of incarceration and get into college and actually, get a job and things of this nature. And I was helping single parents, get their lives together. And then veterans, which I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and I was helping veterans who were similar in similar situations like me, dealing with a lot of stuff that you come home with that you don't deal with sometimes. And so I got invited to talk about fatherhood because at the time my kids were little and I was divorced, but I was really adamant about staying connected to my children and being part of their life. So I was never like the outside of the world dad. I was the dad that was there because my dad wasn't there. I had grew up without a father or a mother because my mom died when I was 8 and my dad left when I was 2. But he was also a messed up veteran because he was in the Marines and he was coming home from Vietnam. And when they came from home from Vietnam, there was a lot of stuff that had happened. So I don't blame him. I met him when I was 32 and finally found out some of the story behind the story after, nobody would tell me. But I started writing, and writing is one of the ways that I was able to get some of the anger and frustration. So I found out that if you write, you can actually get stuff out of your body. It's an ethereal thing. So No More Crumbs from the Table was helping them discover their tag, their talent, their ability, their gift, and put it out into the world. And that's where that was birthed. And so what you see on the other side is the update with the guy, hey, I'm making it happening because I said if you discover your gifts, talents, and abilities, you could turn those things into profit. So I had Passion to Profit TV, and then I started a whole podcast on it, and I started a whole movement around people like going after their profit based on the thing that they love, their talent, their ability, their gift, and the thing that they were born to do. So that's where this kind of came to birth. And so I like to start like with a Stephen Covey principle, which is begin with the end in mind. That's why I asked you what you want to do. When Weber said that he wants to write, these, he's already written some of these type of fiction, books. It's like, okay, good. We got a good place to start. When you think about fantasy, there's all kind of fantasies that you can have. So looking at that and figuring out how Nikkei could get that done, and all the different things that you guys shared, including this whole idea that Cindy talked about, like just having random thoughts. How can we take those random thoughts and turn them into something? Well, they might be a motivational book, it might be a reflective book, it could be for postpartum depression, it could be for families who have loved ones who died in the military over in service. It could be a number of things that those random thoughts can actually help people heal. Right. So when we think about begin with the end in mind, it's the idea that we're going to strategize what we wrote. We're going to take it and put it in a process so that you can actually give it to somebody else or have it for yourself. It was one time I was listening to Les Brown, and Les Brown's a motivational speaker. And he talked about this time where he was all set to make money. This big contract came through. He was like, yes, everything was great. He's getting it all together and ready to do it. And then he was waiting and he was waiting and he was waiting. And then the contract never came. And he said what he found out was the person who was working on that project had passed away. And because she passed away, she was the one who was linking him to this organization to make this big paycheck. And he wound up not getting it. And he went into this like negative space and was not feeling so well. And he heard a voice in his head say, "You want to read your book?" So he had to like think about like, what do I stand for? I stand for all this motivation stuff. I better get myself together, right? And the rest of the story is history. And he tells it in one of these. I have here is like increasing your presentation power, right? Because Les Brown is awesome. He's one of the voices that I hear all the time in my head for what we do. All right. So you're going to build a path, right? Uh, I have people who want to build from a structure, and then I have people who just randomly want to take stuff and put it together and come up with a story. Both work. All right. Both work. Now, if you go to certain places, they're going to tell you you got to have a structure. Other places, just write. I'm of the opinion, write. Writers, write. You want to keep that in mind. Writers, write. You may wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with the thought. It may not have anything to do with the chapter you're writing on. So I don't teach you to go from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3 to chapter 4 to chapter 5. No, just write. You will get the time to come back and figure out where you want it to fit. And you're not an editor. You're not a form editor. You're not a structure editor. You're none of those people. You are the writer, the storyteller. So tell stories, put it on paper, write it down. I like using paper and pen, but some people can't. They like to use their computer. Some people still can't. They don't even have fingers or hands. Think about how many books that are out here by some people who had disabilities that all they had to do was blow through a straw and write a book. Okay. So quantum physics, we have that from somebody who was able to blow through a straw and write a book. So if a person could blow through a straw and write a book, you can write a book. Okay. And now we have situations where you can talk a book.